Good evening, friends. This is Sarunin from ICT Academy. I have Mr. Nia Samad, the Program Manager, Learning Alliances and Certification from UiPath, who will be delivering today's session for you. So very happy to welcome all the students who have joined for this session on bot building session exclusively for the students who have registered for the Skill-A-Thon. As you all know, we have launched one program called Skill-A-Thon in association with UiPath. And from 15 till 20, 5 days, we have opened up the learning. And few students have started learning. And if you have not started learning, requesting everyone to start the learning, request you to visit ictacademy.in/Skill-A-Thon and start your learning either today or after before 20th. So today is an exclusive session we have planned specifically for the students as an extra training for on give you a small training from Mr. Nias on how to build a bot. So we have this session scheduled for 2 days, one today and next session is on 17th. So even if you want to attend again on 17th, you can please attend. If your friends are not registered and not attended, they can also join the 17th session. So that is an update. And before I hand it over to session to Nias. So this is a technology session, and if you encounter any technical glitches in between, I request you to kindly reconnect. And there is a chat window, and you can post all your queries in the chat window so that Mr. Nias will help to handle and solve all the queries. So there are close to 3,000 plus students who have participated for this session. So it is a very good session which we have wanted you to attend. So we have made this session as a 1.5 hour session from 6 to 7:30. So requesting all the students to stay connected and get enough knowledge on how to build a small bot within 1.5 hours time. You also requesting everyone to join Mr. Nias and do hands in hand on hand so that you will build a bot. So thank you very much, Mr. Nayas. Over to you. And there are students waiting. Close to 3,000 plus students have joined. So over to you, Nayas.
Hey, thank you so much, Arvind, and welcome all everyone. Right, it's very fascinating to see. Right, I see the count. The count is still going on. It's 2,000 to 3,200 plus students. Right, it's very awesome and fascinating to see. So much of students turned up for this event. Right, now, and as Owen has mentioned, we are going to do a demo of bot building sessions. So one we have today, and also we have day after another. That is on 17th of December. And of course, I would request all of you to again join on that particular day also, because we'll be seeing different exercises. Right, it's not the same thing which we're going to do today. We'll be seeing on 17th. Of course, we're going to see different bot use case that we're going to do. Right. Now, I hope all of you or majority of you would have already started with the step into RPA tools that was assigned as a part of the Skill-A-Thon program. And in order to begin today, so we need a software, and I'm assuming most of you would have already downloaded the software. So we need the UiPath Studio. So because in the IT programming world, right? So you might be familiar with Java, you might be familiar with Python, and so on. So we need IDs to work on this, right? So say for example, if you think with respect to Java, right, you would have easily worked with NetBeans or Eclipse IDs, right? Or let's say for example, if you're college or universities where you're learning Python, you would have easily worked with PyCharm or Jupyter Notebook and many such IDs. So for UiPath Studio is one of those IDs which we'll be working on, right? And especially we'll be working on UiPath Studio X, because UiPath Studio X would be a stepping stone for you, right? So within the short period of time, if you want to gain knowledge, you can work with UiPath Studio, and then later, if you want to master yourself into this technology, you can always move up the ladder up and up, right? Okay. So that being said, let me just quickly first share my screen. There we go. Right. Awesome. Now, I could see my screen visible, but then I would also need a confirmation from the participants. You guys are able to see my screen and hear me loud and clear.
Yes, Nias, you are loud and clear and your screen is visible.
Okay, thank you so much, Savan. So as we are onto the bot building session one, that is today is the session one. And if you look at the UiPath community page, so over here, it speaks about what are we going to do today, right? So if you look at, this bot building use case that we have, so today we will be building two bots, that is, finding the unicorn name and, generating a random password generator, right? Very fascinating, very simple use cases, because I don't want, to throw up, multiple use cases today, and then, you will be confused, right? So let's start with the very basic today. Let's get ourselves comfortable with the subject, and then, later moving ahead, we will look at, what else you can, do in the UiPath journey, right? Now, before I speak more about what we're going to today, let me just give you an overview about what RPA is and what RPA can do, right? So most of you would have already gone through the course. If not, it's okay. I'll just let you know in short what RPA is responsible to do, right? RPA, basically stand for robotic process automation, right? And whenever, since we are in the college, the only, the term when we hear robot, it's the hardware term, right? So whenever we speak about robot, we always think there would be an hardware involved in it, which is completely wrong in our case. We are not talking about hardware robots; we are talking about software robots, right? Software robot basically are those robots which is sitting on your machine, desktop, computer, whatever you call them, and they'll help you in building an automation or running an automation. You can call them as a digital assistant, right? So they are just helping you in order to get your job done, right? Now, the next question would be, what are these jobs or what are those jobs that the bot will help me in order to, complete the, whatever task I have, right? Now, you could think of, n number of examples. Of course, I would not speak with respect to, what is the organizations or what are the big industries, using them, because we could not relate to. We can always speak about, small examples, in your everyday life that you think, that could be, useful to us, right? I just conducted a session, in the previous week, where I spoke about one of the use cases, which I think you guys can also relate it to, right? So in every college, every university, of course, we have festivals going on, right? Intra college, inter college, or normal workshops which has been going on, right? And whenever such workshop or technical seminars, or maybe a workshop around RPA or a workshop around UiPath happens, of course you will get a lot of participants who are joining the workshop, and the session went well. Everything is fine. There is no issue with the workshop, but the issue comes now. That is after the session, right? Say for example, you had 500 people, or maybe 1,000 or more than that number of people, since we're doing virtually, so that could be possible. That is possible nowadays. So you have n number of people joining the session, and then the ultimate task or ultimate pain would be sending the participation certificates to all of them, right? When I was in the college, of course I was in in the technical seminar or the workshop department community, and I used to know, we used to know the pain of designing the certificate online and then sending it to each and every participant who have joined, right? So it would be like, we are a group of 5 people, we will divide, say for example 500 certificates to each one of us, and then we will sit, after college hours. Basically, of course, you can't miss your lectures. It's up to you how do you take that. So we go ahead and we design the certificate. It could be in the PowerPoint. Say for example, Microsoft PowerPoint. We design the certificate, then we save it into a PDF format, and then we mail it to that particular person. With the body, subject, everything. Right? It's done for one person, then the second person, then the third person, fourth, and so on and so on. So just imagine, we'll have to send it for 500 participants over here, right? Now it's a very tedious, monotonous, and mundane task, right? you know what we are trying to achieve over here is, say for example, if you have repetitive tasks, or you have a task which is mundane in nature, you can try to automate that stuff, right? So what we will do is, we will write some code, we'll design our automation, and what will happen is, you just have to click a button, and then the bot will automatically generate certificate, save it into a PDF file, and then send it across to the participants that we have, right? So the bot will do it for all the 500,000 participants you have. You will have to be sitting in front of your machine and then seeing whether the bot is running or not, because we said run, and the bot will go ahead and do its job, right? So till the time the bot is running, you can go and enjoy your time, have fun in the canteen and XYZ location that you feel like, right? So this is just example, or setting up things in order to make sure that you understand what we are trying to achieve over here, right? So whatever task that we have on a daily basis, or if the organization, if I speak about industries, of course there are a lot of use cases, right? So banking and finance, you have e-commerce websites where there's a lot of invoice processing happening. When we speak about insurance and hospital, we know the pain of how does an insurance company work, right? N number of documents, N number of scanning, N number of processes. So what we can do is we can make sure that this digital software or digital robot, sorry. So this digital robots or the software robots can take this place, and they can do your job, and they can help you in speeding up the process of that automation, speeding up the process of that insurance claim that we have, right? Now I assume I would have set the context of what is UiPath, I mean what is RPA altogether doing, and say for example if you need much more use cases, of course you can connect to this forum and invited places. But let's jump to the topic of the day. That is we'll have to build two use cases. That is, the first is the unicorn name, and the second is the password generator, right? So let me close this tab. There you go. So this is the tool that we need, right? Or this is the IDE, or this is the software that we need in order to start building our automation, right? So you would have received a document or link which speaks about how to download UiPath Academic Alliance license XY. You would have downloaded it, the license key, you would have added it, and then the installation would be complete. Now, once the installation is complete, all you have to do is you have to click on, of course, the start, and then you have to search for that product, right? So we installed the UiPath Studio. So we'll go ahead and click on that UiPath Studio, right? Once you click on the UiPath Studio, it will take some minutes, some a couple of seconds to it for it to boot up. And once the page is loaded and fired up, you would see an interface. I'm guessing you would not see this interface. I'll tell you, how do we change it to, Studio X, right? As I said, right, we have Studio and we also have Studio X. Now, this session and, the 17th of December session, we will work on Studio X only. So how do you switch between, these multiple studios, right? So listen carefully, everyone, because this is what you have to do. Then only you can, proceed further with me in order to, build the automation bot. So all you have to do is you have to go ahead from this left-hand side menu and click on settings, right? The moment you click on setting, over here, choose this option called as license and profile. There you go. And then click on view or change profile, right? And the moment you click on that, you will be greeted with two options, either UiPath Studio or Studio X. So click on Studio X and it will restart, and then the UiPath Studio interface will be up and running in your machine, right? Now, this is very important. I'll repeat once again, how did we did that? So go to settings, and then under settings, click on licenses and profile. And over here, click on view or change profile. And over here, choose Studio X. Click on it and allow it some couple of seconds or minutes, depending upon the system configuration, and let it start the UiPath Studio X interface, right? So once it starts, it should look in this way, right? So let me click on that. So this is the interface that you all will be greeted with, right? Now I'll wait here for a couple of minutes, because this is very important. Once you are switched to this profile, that is Studio X profile, do let me know into the chat window, and then I can proceed ahead with this, the bot building exercises for you, right? So I have my chat window opened up over here, and once you have switched the profile, do let me know, and then we shall proceed further. Right. So the students who have joined as of now. So what we're doing is we are going to start with the bot building exercises. That is the agenda for this workshop. Right. We haven't started it. We were just speaking about the intro about RPA, setting up the context first, and now we will go ahead and start with this automation. Okay, let me see if I have got some confirmation on the chat window. Okay, so I'll just repeat if some of the students have missed it. So it's clicking on the settings and then clicking on licenses and profile and then click on view or change profile and then choose the UiPath Studio X from here. There you go. Right. I'll wait for 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Okay, so let's get started and let's build our first example or the first bot building exercises, that is the finding the unicorn name, right? Now, first, let me show you what is this use case all about, and then later we can go ahead and start with the automation, right? So you'll have to open up a browser, and if you have Chrome browser, absolutely good. Take up the Chrome browser over there, and over here you'll have to search for RPA samples slash find unicorn name, right? So this is the URL. Now do not worry. What I'll do is I'll copy this URL and I'll paste it into the chat window so that each one of you can have access to this URL. Right, there you go. So you should have received the message or the URL, right? So it's rpasamples.com slash find unicorn name. Now, what is this unicorn name, right? So what is this website all about? Let's go ahead and see that first. So it's a very simple application, nothing fancy about it. All you have to do is you'll have to enter your name, right? Now, let's say, for example, let me enter my name. There you go, done. And then, the month in which you were born, let's select that. For me, it is October. There you go. So I'm going to go ahead and select October. And then I'll say, get the unicorn name. So it's a button over here. So I'll just go ahead and click on get unicorn name, right? The moment I do that, the answer or my unicorn name is displayed in front of me. So my unicorn name over here is Confetti Featherwind, right? Your unicorn name obviously would be different. So, just type your name. Say for example, let me take up some name from the student list, right? I see Nitish is one of the student here. So Nitish is gonna type Nitish as the name, and of course I do not know his birthday. So let's say month is February, and let's say it's the get unicorn name. So this is his unicorn name. Now what we need to do over here is, the bot will run it. You will enter the name. You will enter the month in which you are born. The bot will click on the button called as get unicorn name. And whatever the unicorn name that has been displayed, you have to scrape that data and show it to the user in the form of a message box, right? Or a pop-up window, right? So we see a lot of pop-up window coming up, right? So in this pop-up window, we will tell the user that, your unicorn name is confetti, whatever is it, right? So we'll make sure, we run this bot again and again, we'll keep on changing the name, we'll keep on changing the, month. And then each and every time we'll get a new unicorn name, and then we'll just print the message in the message box to the user saying this is your unicorn name, right? Now, before I proceed further, or before we proceed further for building this automation, is this use case clear to everyone? Can you all just give me a confirmation on that? Is this use case clear to everyone? Right? You can comment yes or no. If you want me to explain this use case again, I'll do that. Please use the chat window for it. All right. Okay. So Abhiram says yes. Aditya says yes. Let me wait for some more confirmation from the students, and then I shall proceed further. Right? Okay. So I see, multiple yeses, but there are some people who are, explain it again. No, it's okay. I'll explain it again. So this is the URL. The URL would have gone long back in the chat window. So I'll just go ahead and paste the URL again for you in the chat window. There you go. So there is the URL. So what you need to do is, of course, the bot has to open up this URL, right? the bot will open up on its own, and then the bot should enter the name over here. Let's say, for example, I enter my name here. So the bot will enter Nias, and the bot will select the month in which I was born. So for me, it's October. I'll have to tell him select October, and then I'll click on this button, or the bot will click on this button, which is called as Get Unicorn Name. There you go. And then the bot will fetch this information from the screen, that is confetti, feather, bean, whatever is the unicorn name. It will fetch that information from the screen, and you will have to display it to the user in a message box as in a pop-up, right? So this is the use case that we're going to do, right? Now let's start building this automation, right? So let's go back to the UiPath Studio. There you go. And in order to create a new project, on the right hand side, click on the start menu over here, and then on the right hand side you can see new project. From here, select blank task, right? I'll repeat again. How do you create a new project? Click on the start menu from here, and then from the right hand side under new project, click on blank task. There you go. Let me click on the blank task, right? So the moment you click on blank task, again a pop-up window which comes in front of you, and this window is asking me, what is the name of the process, as in what is the name of the project, right? So I'll tell him that my project name is unicorn name. Right? I'll say unicorn name, right? And then the location, where you want to store your automation file, right? D drive, C drive. So I'm happy with this location. I want to save it here. And then the description, right? So of course, when you're designing something, you should write a description to it saying what is this automation or what is this bot all about, right? Say for example, later when you look at it, reading the description, we should be able to understand that this is the automation and this is what we are going to do here. Or say for example, your friend or your faculty members is going to go through this bot. They'll first read the description, and then they'll understand, okay, this is what the automation or this is what the project is all about. So I'll go here and I'll say finding the unicorn name with respect to name and birthday month, right? This is what we're going to do, right? So there you go. So WRT stands for with respect to. So finding the unicorn name with respect to name and birthday month. That this is the only information that is needed. So I'll repeat again. What is this information? The project name or the process name, and whichever location you want to save this project. And then lastly, a description stating what is this automation all about. And let's go ahead and click on create. That, there you go. Let's wait for a couple of minutes or a second, depending upon our system configuration. Right. So even for you, if it is taking time, it's okay, because for you guys, you will be working on the studio for the first time, right? So it might take a minute or so also for you, right? Okay. So I want all of you to go ahead and create a project first, and then I'll teach you how to build an automation, right? So once you create a project, this is the interface that everyone should see, right? So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Once you have completed that, do let me know into the chat window, and then I'll teach you how to build the unicorn name bot. Right. So I see people messaging, it's ready. Some of them are still doing it. It's okay. I'll wait. Okay, I'll wait for another minute, and then we'll get started. Okay, so I see some comment, where people are saying, in order to get the email, when you fill the form, you'll get the email for download the software. If in case it's taking time, just a hack, right? So we know how to do hack, right? So what I'll suggest you is fill in the form again with the same credential, with the same detail that you've already filled in, and then of course you will receive the email, which will say welcome back again, right? Original mail will be welcome, and then it will be welcome back again, right? So you try that. That absolutely works 100% of the time. Okay, so some of the people have responded. They have got the same interface. Nice. I'll wait for 30 seconds more, and then we will get started. Okay, now let's get started. So we all know that what is this use case. So this is the page that we have to work across. Now let's start, designing this automation over here, right? Now, majority of the people over here, would be assuming that, since we're learning something related to IT and all, so we will have to write, lines of code, right? Because this is what we have been doing, in our engineering or BSc college, whatever is it. So, we used to write n number of codes just to get, one single output, right? But it is completely opposite when we speak about UiPath Studio or UiPath Studio X. So UiPath Studio X is basically a no code or a low code platform, right? So, I'm emphasizing on both of the words, a low code and a no code, right? So you don't have to write n number of code or n lines of code in order to write an automation program. What we do instead over here is we just go ahead and we do a drag and drop functionality, right? So if you look at my screen over here, right, just a second. So if you look at my screen over here, so on the left hand side you can see there are some colors and there's a different section, and then on the middle it's a complete white canvas. So what we do is we pick elements from here and then we drop it over here. So that is how we work over here, right? Now, for example, if you understand some of the programming language, right? Say for example, if you want to write a if logic, right? How do we write an if? Say for example in Java, so we could write it in this way, right? If opening and closing of the if, else and opening and closing of the else, right? With the condition of the if, right? This is what is the syntax of if. So over here we don't do that. We call them with the name activities. So we just drag and drop the activities. So for example, if you want to work with conditions, if you want to work with loops, we'll drag and drop the loop over here, right? Now I've been speaking about drag and drop. Now let me show you how or what is a drag and drop functionality is all about. Now, before you proceed further, with any project, right? I'm not talking with respect to only UiPath over here. I'm talking with respect to any programming language. If when you proceed further with an automation, the very first thing that you should always do is break down your entire projects into multiple pieces. Call it with the name pieces, call it with the name chunks or steps, right? I would call it with the name steps, right? So we'll break our, the entire project into multiple steps. Right? So the very first step in our case would be opening up this web page, right? Opening up rpasamples.com/find unicorn name. That would be my step one, correct? And then my step two would be entering the name and entering the month. So that would be my step two. And my step three would be getting the unicorn name. Once I get the unicorn name, my last step or the fourth step would be displaying the user that this is the unicorn name, right? So I'll just repeat again. So we are breaking down the entire project into 4 steps. Step 1 would be opening up this web page. Step 2 would be writing the name and the month in which you were born. And the third step will be, clicking on or getting the unicorn name. And the fourth step would be going ahead and displaying the user what is the unicorn name, right? So is this clear? Is all the steps clear? Right. Can I get a confirmation on that on the chat window? Did you all understood what are the steps 1, 2, 3, and 4? Right. Let me see the interface. How many people respond to this question? Right, there you go. So I've got a couple of yeses, multiple yeses. So let's go ahead and let's proceed further for designing the bot. Right now, as I said earlier, we are working on a Google Chrome browser. Say for example, you don't have a Google Chrome browser, it's okay. You can work with Firefox or you can work with Microsoft Edge browser also. But in order to work with browser, there is one setting that you have to do, right? You have to do the setting only one time. I'll tell you what is this setting. On the top right hand side, sorry, left hand side, on the top left hand side, click on home and then click on tools. There you go. And then install the extension for your browsers, right? Since I'm working on Chrome, I would install the Chrome browser. If you do not have Chrome installed in your machine, it's okay. Install Firefox or install the Microsoft Edge, depending upon the browser that you have on your desktop, right? I have Chrome. I'm working on Chrome, and I have already installed the Chrome extension. Now I'll tell you how to install the Chrome extension. It's very simple, right? Or any of the extension, right? All you have to do is you have to just go ahead and double click on it, right? Say yes and say yes. If the browser is already open, then it will give us a warning that it will close the browser. I say okay, close the browser, does not matter. And done. The extension for Chrome is installed. So this is as simple as it is, right? Now let us open the Chrome again. There you go. Now since it got closed, so let me restore all the pages that are open, and there you go, and done. So now my extension for the UiPath is done. See, do you see here? UiPath web automation extensions have been successfully installed in my Chrome browser, right? So this is very important, right? I'll tell you how to do it again. Click on home, and then after that click on tools, and then click on the Chrome or Firefox or Internet Edge, whatever it is, right? So I'll give you 2 minutes to do
Yes.
that.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, yes.
But you are sharing some screen.
Yes, I am.
Last 3 minutes to 4 minutes, we are not able to see your screen. We are able to see only you.
Uh, is it with all of the participants?
Participants, can you confirm whether screen is visible or not, or it is only for me? The students, can you please confirm whether the screen of Mr. Nias is visible to you? No, sir. This one. No, sir. Screen is visible. Screen
Okay,
visible
what
is.
I'll do is I'll just unshare it and share it again.
No, if it is visible, then the problem is mine. I will refresh it. No issue. It is
No,
visible to others. Yeah, don't worry.
yes, just
Now,
for safety.
now
Yeah.
it is visible. Now it is visible for me. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. So once you are done installing the extension, do let me know in the chat window, and then we can proceed further. Yes, so there's a question in the chat window which says for the Internet Explorer, there is no installation needed. No, so there is no installation needed for Internet Explorer because Internet Explorer comes by default with the Microsoft Windows, right? So we don't need to install the extension for that. But you will need for Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Edge. Okay, so I've got a couple of responses that people have completed the installation of the extension. Now let's go ahead and complete this example. As in not complete, let's start this. We haven't started it, right? So let's go ahead and proceed further. So our very first step that we figured out was that we have to open up the browser, right? And in order to open up the browser, we have to work with browser activities, right? Now I'll tell you. So if you look at my screen over here, so you could see that, on the left hand side, you see some colors and each and every colors represents a category, right? Now say for example, you want to automate Word, Microsoft Word. So when you click on the Microsoft Word, what happens is you will be greeted with the activities which are available that works only for Microsoft Word. Or for example, you want to work with mail, right? So these are all the activities which are available for mails. Or say for example, you want to work with Excel. So these are all the activities which are available for Excel, right? And in the same way, we also have a category called as app/web. There you go. And over here, we see the resources, right? So this is what we're going to use as the very first activity, which is use application or a browser. Now, how do we use it? Listen to it and see very carefully. As I said, we are going to do a drag and drop functionality, right? So click on this activity. Do not leave your mouse click. It would be a left click to be more precise. Left click on this, do not leave it, drag it and place it onto the plus icon over here. Once you are upon onto the plus icon, then leave your mouse button and you will see that this is how we drag and drop the activities, right? I'll repeat again. I'll just delete this. Deleting is very simple. Select it and press the delete key from the keyboard. There you go. So the very first activity that we're using is use application slash browser. So drag it and drop it over here, right? So this is how the drag and drop functionalities will work. Now, one thing that you have to be ready with is open the browser in a open this URL in the browser, right? Because you have to tell your bot what he has to open it, right? Now this Chrome is already opened up. It's okay. I'll come back to UiPath Studio again, and here it is asking me indicate an application to automate, right? So I'll click here, and then I'll point my cursor on this Chrome browser. So you see the entire Chrome browser has been selected. So done. I'll click here. I'll do a left click on this. Done. Now there you go. So do you see that he's so smart that he identified that I'm using a Chrome browser and this is the URL which I have to open up, right? So automatically he gets that information because I said him, right? I told him this is the browser which I want to work with, and in that browser this page was already opened up. So he made sure that he captured the URL and then he placed it inside the URL option, right? Simple. Now what we will do is we will run this automation. I think we'll run step by step, right? So there is no Chrome browser opened up. Now let me run only step one. So how do you run it? It's very simple. On the design ribbon bar, the top one is called as the ribbon bar. There's a button called as run. Click on this run button, right? So what happens is UiPath Studio will minimize itself, and then there you go, right? So do you saw the Chrome browser has been opened in front of you. I did not open it, and I did not said what is the URL. So the activity was able to open it with the correct URL that we have mentioned. So my step one is done. Now what would be my step two? Step two would be I would need to type in this text box. And in order to type into the text box, we have an activity for it, right? So if you look at the activity session on the top, there's the search bar. Over here, search for an activity called as type into, right? Search for an activity called as type into. There you go. So this type into activity will help you, type your text. It could be anywhere. It could be on a browser. It could be on an application, or a Word file, Excel file, whichever file is it. So it will not Excel file, sorry. It will help you to, type your text, on that particular application or document. So we'll go ahead and drag and drop it. So we'll drag it and drop it over here inside this one. Done? Perfect. Now this type into activity is also asking me indicate the target, as in tell me where should I type, because the website is, the entire page is available, but on that entire page there is a very specific area where I need to type. So it's asking me tell me where is that area that am I supposed to type. So what we will do is we'll go ahead and then we'll click here, indicate target on screen. There we go. And then you see over here that I have access to the entire page. You see this? See, this is this green icon. So this is telling me the area inside the web page, right? See, I have access to the entire page, but I don't need to type here. Even I don't need my text to be written. What I need is I need my text to be written here in this text area, right? So select this text area. There you go. And then let's wait for the anchor to come in. There you go. Right? So this is the target, and the blue color you see, this is the anchor. Right? So let me quickly speak about what is anchor over here. Right? So basically, what happens is, let me give you an example. Right? Now, say for example, you want to go to a Samsung showroom, right? So you want to figure out where is the Samsung showroom, right? So you are on the way and you are looking for the Samsung showroom. So your Samsung showroom is a target because that is the place where you need to go. But you're unable to find the target, right? You looked XYZ places, you went to this lane, you went to that lane, but you're not able to figure out where is the Samsung showroom. Then what we do is we ask a person who is passing nearby, right? We're asking, do you know where is Samsung showroom? If the person knows it, then he will say, the Samsung showroom is next to that XYZ hotel. So it's telling me an anchor. So this is what the anchor is. So it's telling me that there is an XYZ hotel. Right beside the XYZ hotel, there is the Samsung showroom. So in that case, the Samsung showroom is my target and that XYZ hotel will be my anchor. So the same thing also applies here in this bot building technology. That is, this is a target, but say for example, if the bot is not able to find out where is the target, he will make use of the anchor. So he will find the anchor and then automatically once he gets the anchor, right beside the anchor, you will get the target. So automatically the anchor will be selected. If the anchor is not selected, then we'll have to select the anchor by ourselves. I'll delete the anchor. There you go. Now the question is I have to select the anchor over here. Right? See, I can select anything as an anchor. Right? From the page, I can select anything as an anchor. But it is always advisable, select an element which is near to your target. So this is the element which is near to my target, right? So I'll select this. And it is not always compulsory to have an anchor. You can always proceed further without the anchor also. Once done, on this message box, click confirm. Right? There you go. So here now we can see that this target has been captured. But the ultimate question is still remaining that we have to type the value inside this. Now we'll make use of this search bar or the text bar over here. So click on this plus icon and you will be greeted with multiple options and then select text from here because you want to write a text, right? So I'll select text from here and then the name of the text. Right? For me, I'm just going to display my name here. Okay, but let's quickly go ahead and run this and see if it is working fine. So there we go. So we will wait for the Chrome browser to open up. Awesome. And enter the name, right? I did not enter it, hands up. I was not the person who wrote it. It's the bot who was responsible to do this because we said the bot use the type into activity, right? Now, the next thing is I need to go ahead and select the month. I need to go ahead and select the month from here, right? Now, this is a drop down box, right? Everybody agrees with me, right? This is a drop down box. In order to work with a drop down box, we have an activity. The activity name is called as select item. The activity name is called as select item. So please make a note of all the activities that we're using. Right? Now, I'll drag it. See, I can drop it wherever I want. I can drop it, before this. I can drop it in between this, or I can drop it after this. Now I want an answer from all of you, right? Now tell me, where should I drop the select item? Should I drop it below the type into activity or should I drop it before the type into activity? Right? So do let me know, should it be before or after? Right? So should I drop it over here or should I drop it over here? Where should I drop it? Before or after? Right? Let me see the chat window if I have got any answers on that. Right? So after Taranum says below, and Dipanshu also says below. What about the rest of the people? And yes, right. So all of you have given the correct answer. We will drag it and drop it, after the type into activity only. Reason is because it works in the sequential order, right? One activity after the another activity and so on and so on. So it works in the sequential order. So first browser opens up, then type into, and then select item. Right? Absolutely, I'm amazed to see all these answers after and below, right? So okay. So now the select item is also telling me, right? Tell me where is the drop down box. Okay, click here. So where is the drop down box? So this is the drop down box. Done. Click here, right? Let's wait if he's able to find the anchor. Okay, I'm happy with the anchor. And then from this window, click on confirm. And done, right? So what happens is, the select item is so smart that he has actually, taken up all the data from that. See, if I click here, I would able to see, the entire months available, right? Starting from January, February, say this one. So everything that was a part of the web page now is a part of the select item. So for me, I'm gonna select October. Right? Now what's the next step? The next step is clicking on the button that is get unicorn name. So what are we going to do? If a human, what we will do is we will do a click on it. So the bot also has to do a click on it, right? The bot is not like magic, right? We can do anything. So we'll have to tell him that you have to click on it. And in order to click, we have an activity supporting it, and the activity name is called as click activity, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll search for the click activity. Do you see this click activity? Drag and drop it after the select item. That, and the click also is asking me the same thing. Tell me where should I click, right? Okay, I'll tell him, okay, indicate target on screen, and then click here which says get unicorn name. And done. Of course, there is no target for it. It's okay. I don't want any, sorry, there is no anchor for it. It's okay. If you want, you can add anchor. As I said, right? Anchoring is not compulsory every time. Every time you don't think location, you know the place, you can go directly to it. So I'll click on confirm now. Right? Done. So my type into activity is done, my select is done, and also my click activity is also done. Right? So now we are done with 3 steps, right? That is getting the unicorn name, right? Let's run this bot and see it in action, right? So I have closed the Chrome browser, and from the design ribbon bar, I'll click on run over here. And there you go. Started, enter the name of it, October, get unicorn name, right? The bot is working absolutely fine, right? No issues at all. Do you see this? I'm able to get this name over here, right? And there is only one step remaining, that is how do we get the name, how do we fetch this data from the screen, right? Now, I'll pause here for a couple of minutes. I want you guys to go ahead and complete this example till this click activity, and then I'll show you how to fetch information from the screen, right? I'll give you 2-3 minutes. Quickly go ahead and complete this example now. If you have any questions, do let me know in the chat window. I'll try to address as much as possible. Right, so Aditya says the bot worked successfully well. Congratulations, Aditya, on that. Right, so some of them have said, can you repeat this again? Sure, I'll do that. So what we have done is, I'll repeat it. We chose the application, that is open browser or application, as the first activity. So let me just clear the search bar. So this was the first activity that we chose. And inside this, we went ahead with the type into activity. Then we have select item. So for the select item to work, what you have to do is, just indicate the element, that is this one, right? So you tell him that this is the area, you divide in the select box, and then click on confirm, right? And then depending upon your amount of people, you can go ahead and select it from there. And then of course, you can go ahead and then click, use a click activity in order to get the unicorn. Okay. So the second activity name is type into activity, then we have select item activity, and then we have the click activity. Okay, let's proceed further. And now I'll tell you the last part, that is how will you go ahead and scrape or get the data from the screen. So in our case, this is the confetti name or this is the unicorn name that I have got, right? So I need to get this information. So we have an activity supporting it, right? And the name of the activity is called as get X, right? So please make a note of the activity. The activity name is called as get X activity. So it will help you to get the text from the UI element. As in our UI over here is the web browser, right? So let's drag and drop it over here. Done. And of course, whenever you're interacting with UI activities will always ask you the same question. That is, tell me where is that element, right? So, okay, I'll say, okay, indicate on screen, and then where is the element? So there is the element, which is confetti feather wing, right? So there you go. Let's wait if he's able to find the anchor. If he's not able to find the anchor, it's okay. If in case you want anchor to be added, it's very simple. Click on this anchor and then select an anchor, right? So this is the anchor which I can select, right? Because if I select Nias, then every time I run it with a different name, then it will be different, right? Then the automation will not be able to understand because you look for Nias, but then the second time, there will be a different name over here. So this is a constant text, so I'm choosing this as the anchor now, and then click on confirm. Right, done. Now this is a get text activity. So just like any other programming world, if you are extracting a data, the data has to be stored somewhere, right? So what we will do is from this text box, click on the plus icon and then click on save for later use, right? Save for later use, you guys of course are technical people now. Save for later use is just like, creating variables, right? So whatever the variable is holding, so we will create it in this way. So we'll say save for later use. So I'll click on save for later use and then give a name. By default, this is the name that has been taken. I don't want this name. I'll delete it and I'll write the name as unicorn name. Right? So this is the text that I'm using, unicorn name. So whenever you use unicorn name, your unicorn name, actual unicorn name will be your printed. Right? So I said I want to save it into a text called as unicorn name. Now comes the last part, that is, we need to display it to the user, right? As we said, right, we would, display it with a message box. So we have an activity supporting that, right? And the activity name is called as message box activity only, right? So let me go ahead and search for that activity. So there you go. So we have the message box activity. So make a note of the activity. What is the activity name? The activity name is message box. So I'll drag and drop the message box activity over here. Right? And then what is the value that the message box has to display? Click on the plus icon and we will say use the saved values. You remember we created this, so I'll say use whatever the unicorn name is holding. Done. And we are completely done with this what will make the size now. So let me close this and let me click on run over here. Right? Awesome. Let us see the bot running. So here we have, there you go, get unicorn name. Now, there you go. See, the get text activity worked absolutely fine. And then here we see the, the name, which is confetti feather wing. Right? Now, say for example, if I would like to, change this, right, instead of Nias, let me go ahead and click on text again. And let me, take one of the student name, right? I see one of the student name over here as Lavanya, right? Let's choose Lavanya as the name over here. So Lavanya, Lavanya, done. And I don't know which is the month, so randomly I'll select March, done. Save it. Control is for saving it, or you can use save button from here. And let me close this browser and let me run this application again. Okay, perfect. So Lavanya, March, get unicorn name. So Lavanya, your name is optimistic glitter blossom, right? So this will work for each and every element now, each and every name, each and every month, with respect to whatever you do. So bot will work for all the elements that we have now, right? So this is as simple as it is. So we have worked with a bunch of activities, but then I'm pretty sure that you would have understood what are these activities responsible to do and how we should play with all these activities that we have, right? So the last activity, last two activities that we chose are the get text activity, and we said we will save it for a later use. There we go. And then we chose a message box activity as the last activity, and then we are using the unicorn name in order to display the answer, right? So that was it, right? So we have successfully completed, our first unicorn name, right? Right. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes more, people. Work with this get text activity and the message box, and let me know into the chat window if this works successfully well, and then we will proceed further. Right? So Deepika, there's a question which says, what is the next step after dragging and dropping the message box? So after that, Deepika, what we do is we click on this plus icon because we have to tell the message box, right? What message or what is the text that we have to display. So from this options, we will choose use saved values, and we have saved a value within a unicorn name, right? So we'll select unicorn name. Right. Okay, so Arshit says it worked successfully well for him. Congratulations, Arshit, on that. And let me wait for a couple of more responses and then we shall proceed further. Okay, let me see any other people, any other questions. So Aditya has a question which is, does the activity name in the studio differs from Studio X? I say not completely, but yes, there are some activities which are present in Studio, which is not present in Studio X, and also the vice versa also, which are present in Studio X, but are not present in Studio. But activities such as message box, get text, type into, click, they remain the same. So the activity name is same only. Okay, done. Now, let me just show you, what advances you can do, in this automation, right? So if you look at the technologies or, the use cases that we're going to do, we also said that, we will also look at, how to work with Excel file also, right? So assuming what we're assuming over here now is that, we will have an Excel file created. Let's say, for example, this is the Excel file. Let us create it quickly over here. So I'll say this is the name. Let me quickly make a, sorry for that. Done. And what do we need more? Name and the month, right? Yeah. So I'll have the month, right? Now let me populate some, data onto it, right? So there we go. And 11 is what I chose, so I chose that. And let me pick up one more. Let me pick up Aditya, right? So this is just an example I'm showing you people. Of course, you can populate, thousands or 10,000s of data in the same order, right? So this is the data that comes in. Lavanya, we chose March for her. Okay, let's stick with March. And let's say for Aditya, it should be May, right? So this is the Excel file that we have. Let me quickly go ahead and save this Excel file. Go. Where should I save this? Right. Let me save it into the project directory only. Right. UiPath. So, so let me go ahead and maybe I choose the unicorn name. Right. This is the project. So unicorn name, and I'll store it over here inside. Now let me call this as unicorn name details. Right. That, and I'll save this. So I have my data now present in the form of an Excel. Now I'll quickly tell you how to work with them, right? So as I said earlier, you have the Excel categories, right? So we'll click on Excel over here. There you go. And then now what we will do over here is, once we open the browser, we will say start reading from the Excel file, right? So once the browser is open, over here I'll choose this activity called as use Excel file. That now it is asking me, tell me which file you want to work with, right? So let's quickly browse for that file. This is the file, unicorn name details. Perfect, right? Done. Open. Okay, perfect. Right. So this is done, right? As in, now I have told him that this is the Excel file that I have to work with. Now the next activity that you will drag or you will use over here is called as for each Excel row, right? For each Excel row, because you have to work with rows, right? Every time you have to work with row. For loop, you understand for loop, right? Loops. So over here we have an activity. The activity name is called as for each Excel row. So I'll drag and drop the for each Excel row over here. Right? There you go. Now over here you have to select, what is the data that you want. So I'll say okay, where is the Excel file? This is the Excel file, and I'll say sheet one, right? See, why sheet one? It's because you see the name over here is called as sheet one. Let's say for example I change this, I rename it to RPA. Of course, there could be, multiple worksheet created in this way, out of which I'm only interested in reading this file called as RPA. So I need to also tell my bot that there will be multiple worksheets available. Only read the RPA file. So this is how we will tell him. So click on the plus icon range, Excel file, and there you go. See RPA sheet 2, sheet 3. I'll choose RPA from here. But now my bot knows that out of all these multiple sheets, I have to work on the RP only. Now the next thing that we have to do is we will drag each and everything inside this for each row. So type into activity, I'll drag and drop it over here. Done. Now what is the data that I need to type? Now it cannot be Lavanya, right? It has to keep on changing. So I'll click on the plus icon from the current row. Which column do you want to select, right? Column A or column B? It depends upon the the columns that we have, right? So for example, I'd say column A. So there we go. So column A, right? Let me quickly go ahead, save this Excel file again, and what happened?
Okay, everything is good. Let's come back here again. And then the same thing. Select, drag and drop the select here again, right? And then the month name, of course, keeps on changing. So I'll click on the plus icon. From the current row, I'll select the column B, right? I have only two columns, right? Column A, column B. I'll select column B, right? Now, there is a thing, which we have missed here, right? If you remember, we gave the column a name, right? We gave column name as name, and we gave this column name as month. Then why it is taking as A and B? It should have taken as name and month, right? And the thing that we missed over here is, in the for each Excel row, we did not tell him that the Excel file has headers, right? So once you click on headers, now it comes, or now he understands that this first entry is in header, and your actual data starts from this, the second row, right? Now, if I go ahead and if I do this again, current row, see, I have the column name available, name and month. So I'll say this is name, and over here, this current row will be a month, right? Then the only thing that is remaining is drag and drop the click activity over here. So I'll go and drag and drop the click activity here, and then I'll drag and drop the get text activity here, and then I'll drag and drop the message box here. Right? So that's it. So that is what we are going to do. So we have all these activities done. Now, let me quickly run this and show you, right, how this automation will look like, right? Because we're ready for the Excel file now, right? So I'll click on run. Maybe I'll close, minimize the Excel file. So see, October, get unicorn name, and perfect, right? So if I click on OK, the loop runs again. Lavanya, is it? See, there you go. Right? And then we have one more data, right? So let me click OK, and let me see what is that one more data that we have. Right? There you go. Awesome. So this was for Aditya, right? So Radiant, Snowflakes, Dream, or whatever you need, right? So that was how you work with Excel file people. It's very simple, right? What we have just used is we have only used two activities. We said in use the Excel file, and then an activity called as for each Excel, right? So that's it, right? So I'll wait here for a couple of minutes more, in order for you to understand and process how to work with Excel file, and then we can quickly jump on, on seeing the next exercise that we have for you, right? The next exercise is very simple, right? Same like as this, but yes, of course, we will not take so much of time, because this was the first exercise, and we wanted to spend a comfortable amount of time in order to understand how to work with activities. Okay, 30 more seconds, and then we'll proceed further. Okay, now the next example that we have is again, a very simple example. So let me go to the RPA sample itself again. There we go. And this is the password generator. So this is the link for. So I'll copy this link and I'll paste it to each one of you so that you can access this. There you go. Let me paste it into the chat. Right. So it's again, rpa sample.com/ now it's password generator. Now this is very simple, right? What does this use case does is it generates a strong password depending upon the condition that you have specified, right? So the condition is, what is the length of the password? That's the first thing. So over here, let's say for example, I'll say, I know I want eight, eight should the eight, the length of a password should be 8 characters, okay? And then I don't need an uppercase, I need a lowercase, and I need symbols only. And then here is your password that's got generated. If you want to generate more password, you'll have to generate a new password in this case. So this is how the password gets generated over here, right? So for example, I'll say my password length now should be 15 characters. I want uppercase, I want lowercase and symbol. Now let me generate the password. So there you go. So I have uppercase, I have lowercase, and also I have symbols. I don't have numbers, right? Because numbers are unchecked over here, right? So very simple, let's quickly go ahead and build this automation, right? How to create a new project, it's very simple again. So click on the home icon, right? Come to the backstage view. From the start, the same way, click on blank process, right? A blank task. Let's give a name to it. So I'll say this is gonna be generate password. Let's give a description to this process. I'll say generating strong password, right? And then hit create, right? So I'm guessing now, majority of the people are, would guess what are all the activities that we're going to use. So the first activity that we will use would be, the open browser or application activity. Then the next activity that we will use is a type into activity, right? So let's go ahead. Let me open the UiPath Studio. Let me use this. There we go. Okay. Now let me say use application slash browser. Let me use this. Done. Tell him where is the browser or what page is it. So this is the Chrome that is already opened up. I'll click here, and now he's smart. He will understand it. See, Chrome browser, and this is it. What we need to do next is we need to perform a text activity. So it is a type into activity now. So I'll go ahead and I'll choose a type into activity. Drag and drop the type into activity over here. And of course, you have to tell him, right, which area you need to type. So this is the text area, right? Of course, I have access to all the area, right? But then this is the area that I need to type. Done. Okay, anchor also is fine. Let's hit confirm. And then what is the text that you need to type? So from this option, select text. And let's say, for example, I want the password characters to be 10. So I'll save it over here. Done. Now, of course, what you can do is you can use a click activity to click here and so on. But since it's a checkbox, we have a dedicated activity for it. Right? We have a dedicated activity for it. And the activity name is called as check. Okay, there you go. So the activity name is called as check uncheck. So it will allow you to check and it will also allow you to uncheck depending upon the condition. So I'll drag and drop check uncheck over here, and I'll tell him where should I indicate. I'll say this area, the uppercase. Done. Of course, the anchor is correct. I'm happy. From this box, I'll say confirm. Now in the same order, I'll have to drag and drop 3 more check uncheck activities. Okay. So the second one, okay, just a second, people. I just a second, I got disconnected from my virtual machine. Let me connect quickly again. Okay. Okay, it's back. It seems. Let me share my screen again. There you go. Right? Extremely sorry for that, but now we are back. Right? Okay. So we have this check uncheck activity again the second time, and for this time we want this check uncheck to work on lowercase. So I'll select lowercase, let him find the answer by himself. Perfect. Click on confirm. So two more check uncheck. Now the third one will be for number. Okay, there you go. And this will work for number. And then confirm. And then another check uncheck activity. Right? So let me drag it for the last time, the last check uncheck activity. And then this will work for the symbols. Right? And then confirm. So once you do uncheck, the next thing that you need to do is you need to say generate a new password. So we'll click here, right? So we'll perform a click activity now. So let's go ahead and then quickly search for the click activity, and then we'll use the click activity to click generate a new password. Right? There you go. Click activity. Let's drag and drop the click activity here. Right? Not here, inside this. There you go. Back. And let me say a click here. Done. Perfect. No anchoring. I'm happy. It's okay. And then, if you want, right, the same thing that we did earlier, what we can do is we can use the get text activity and then we can display it to the user, right? So let me quickly go ahead and say a get text activity. So I'll drag and drop the get text activity over here. And then I'll say this is the text area or this is the password. Done. Anchor. Okay, you can take this as an anchor. I'll say confirm. And of course, you have to save it, right? So we say click on plus, save for later use. And I don't want this. I'll just call it with the name password. Right? Done. Now there's only one activity remaining. That will be our message box activity, right? Because in this message box activity, we will display the password to the user. And of course, what we are doing with the displaying to the user, you can always go ahead, take the data, save it into the Excel file, and of course you can later work with multiple steps over there. As in, for example, if you're admin, your database admin of the school, he always creates password, login password for you. So you can automate his stuff where give him those details and then what is the email ID password. The bot will generate himself, and then the bot will be able to send those password to that particular email address. Right? Of course, email addresses are not within the scope of this 2 days workshop that we are saying, but yes, you can always go and explore yourself. Right? So let me go ahead and choose the message box activity. There you go. And then let us use the value from the saved ones. That is password. Right? Now, depending upon the condition people, right? Now, for example, I'll say that I want uppercase, so uppercase is checked. I don't want lowercase, so lowercase will be unchecked. I want numbers and I don't want symbols, so uncheck that. And now you can easily go ahead and do the automation. Right? So let me quickly run this, save this first, and run this automation now. All right, let's see the bot in action. 10 characters, uppercase, no lowercase, number, and then no symbols. And there you go. Right? See, this is the password that got generated. And in the same order, if you want, you can always say that I want now lowercase also. So check the lowercase, save it, and then run the automation again. Right? 10 characters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and no symbols. See, symbols got unchecked. And here is the password that got generated. Right? And this is how you will go ahead and complete the password generation. Right? So two bot building exercises we have completed, right? So, as you could have seen that, working with UiPath Studio or ultimately I'll say working with Studio is very easy, right? All you have to do is you have to understand the number of steps and then of course work with those activities that we have, right? And that was, the second bodybuilding exercise for the day. And I hope, we will all, go ahead, practice more examples on this. And if you want, we have another session, you can always attend that. In that session, we are doing completely separate use case, not the same use case again. Right? Okay, so that was all from my side. Thank you, people, for joining the session. Sarvanan, would you like to conclude it?
Thank you, Nias. Thank you for delivering a wonderful session for last 1.5 hours. It was really great. So, in fact, the room was full. I don't know whether you have noticed.
Yes,
There
yes,
was
I did.
5,000 participants, and
Correct.
I got few messages. Students are waiting. But nevertheless, we have one more session, students. So, request you to kindly pass on this message to your friends who have not attended today's session to attend the 17th session on the same time. We will share a different link for them to attend. Please don't share today's link. It will be altogether a different link. So the only request from ICT Academy and UiPath is we have been doing this Skill-A-Thon to create a literacy, RPA literacy amongst the students community. So we wanted every one of the students who have joined here and the students' friends representing your institutions to make use of this opportunity and start their career on the RPA robotic process automation, which is the need of our technology. So thank you, Nias, for spending your evening with us and to our making our students build two different bots. Hopefully, they will develop more bots in the near future. Thank you, Nias, and thank you very much for all the students who have joined early and who are here till at the end of the session. This shows your commitment, and definitely, I wish you best wishes. Request you to again kindly complete the step into RPA course. Motivate your friends to also complete the course and make a big revolution because this 15 to 20 is very important date where 15 to 25 days we wanted to create a large more than 50,000 students as RPA literate. So please be a forerunner in this journey and make you and make your fellow friends join this program. Thank you, Nias. We will catch up on 17. Thank you, dear friends.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sarvanan, and thank you so much, students. All the best.